This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Mullen. Today we have author Reynier Lezcano here. Thank you very much for being here, Ray.
Thank you for inviting me, Mike.
So we have a book. You are the author of Rich, Wise, Kind. So tell us about that. The book's right here. And by the way, before I forget, where is this available?
It's available on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon, yes. So that is my newest project, Rich, Wise, Kind, Inspiration for the Modern Hustler. It is a series of inspirational snippets for people who are considering themselves hustlers, business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and they're looking for an opportunity to go within and create consciousness within themselves and what they aim to do as leaders.
Let's talk about the word hustler, because years ago it was a degrading sort of thing. Then after a while, it went, oh, he hustles, and that's okay. But when you say the hustler, but all of a sudden, the last 5 or 10 years, it's like, oh yeah, all right. And so, congratulations on putting that in there and making people think about what they want. So, right. So, what was your inspiration for writing this?
Well, let's see. I have to go back to my time in a monastery. Right, that was the genesis of a lot of my ideas.
Say that one more time so people they're clear on it.
Yes, I lived in a monastery, and I was in the journey of becoming a monk.
And when was that?
Right after high school.
Okay, and where were you?
I lived here. I graduated from Homestead Senior High School, and then I traveled to Wisconsin. It was a monastery in southwest Wisconsin called Our Lady of Springbank in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Cloistered, we led lives of solitude and silence, pretty much how you see it in the medieval movies.
Okay, so the silence part I'm interested in. So did you speak?
Of course, we communicated, but we had moments of community time. Most of the time was meant to be silent. Yes.
Okay. And the purpose of that is what? Those moments of silence?
Well, Mike, you become more introspective. You grow internally. You start listening more to yourself, to your real thoughts, to your inner voice. You discover your inner voice. And it was during that time that a lot of the foundational work that is on the book began to emerge, unbeknownst to me 20 plus years ago. That was going to be my genesis for a lot of the content in the book.
So it was germinating and sort of growing. And at some point you said, oh, I think there's a book in me. When did you have that awareness?
You know, when you live a life of seclusion and silence, you have so many aha moments, and you figure, well, by the way, in the monastery, people think monks are just doing nothing all day long. That's not true. The slogan in Latin is ora et labora, pray and work. And one of our work was actually, we own a company called Laser Monks, which supplied ink to Lexmark printers and to IBM printers. So that was our work, and we had to do work like a business company would do it, even though we were monks. And then you add that plus a life of introspection and silence and contemplation, and man, you can really discover a lot about yourselves.
So often in meditation, there's a sense of silence and trying to figure out how to let whatever's going on in your mind, let it pass. But when you're working per se, and you're there and you're active, physically active, how do you have do you have any silence in there where you actually meditate?
You have by default, the lifestyle is designed for meditation. You meditate several times a day, and it's not something that you sit down and you say, oh, I'm going to meditate now. You have hours where you're supposed to be at prayer, singing Gregorian chants in Latin, and also you have breaks of silence so that you can then meditate and get into a text that you're reading, for example, which we called Lectio Divina, which is divine reading and divine meditation. So it's a discipline.
So you went from this meditative state, this religious state, this silence, and would you call it seclusion, or sometimes people think that that's a bad thing, but what would you call that?
It's seclusion. It's not isolation. So we were not isolated. We were secluded by choice. And again, that was the foundation for a lot of my desire to write the book and the knowledge that I gained from that experience in my life. And also to realize this is not me forever and ever. I tried it, I lived it, and then I said to myself, now I want to take what I learned here and applied it in business school. So I came back to Miami and went back to school and studied business.
So you went to FIU and then you went to Nova?
Correct.
So you have your master's in what?
Human resources and organizational leadership.
And you're working in that arena now?
That's what I do. That's what I do.
And so tell us a little bit more about the book, some of the things that you have in it.
So, for example, one of the biggest topics is the fact that there's such a disconnect with the younger generations with business school or with going to school at all. All it takes is just go on TikTok and you will see so many younger people, high school age, even people after high school, who completely do not believe in going to college anymore. They don't see the value of investing time and money, putting that equity, that sweat equity into something that will get you a piece of paper and you're not going to be able to find a job in that which you studied. So there's a huge disconnect with the younger generation. So what they want to do instead, they buy a camera, they buy a mic, they become influencers. They start selling on social media. They become hustlers. They start doing their own gigs.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong at all.
So I come from a place, I told my kids, we only want you to do two things. Get your master's and speak Spanish. So that was it. And what we realize now is, as an employer, what we're looking for is somebody that can do what we need to have done.
You need to get things done.
Yes,
pretty
and
much.
whatever that is. And you could have your AA, your bachelor's, master's, but if you're not useful in an organization, right, then you need to go somewhere else. So on this hustler side, so tell us how you could move somebody that's been on TikTok and wherever else, and they're out there, they're seeing their friends that are making money and having a good time. So what have you gotten out of this, and why they should read this, or as an example for a reader to understand the kids are doing something a little bit different? How's it going to help the reader?
Because hustling, like you said, there's nothing wrong with being a hustler. So I think that whole concept is getting normalized. The people want to be go-getters and get themselves going with their own gigs, their own careers in their own way. So what the book does, it tells you, Mr. or Miss So-and-so, you don't need a college degree. And again, I have nothing against college degrees, coming from someone that has a graduate degree. But this is what I've learned hands-on in my career. So the book aims to tell those hustlers, you can still make it as long as you have the right soft and hard skills, the technical skills. You can still make it. But what you want to do is make it consciously. You want to be intentional with what you do with your business. And younger generations are prioritizing a lot of these things. They want to be thoughtful with the environment. They believe in fair pay. They believe in pay transparency. They believe in providing, DEI, terms that have been highly politicized, but they don't have to. So the book normalizes a lot of these things and tells you, it's okay, be a hustler. Run with your ideas, make money. And there's no contradiction between being rich, becoming wise, and also being kind to yourself, to others, and to the environment.
Where do you get that from, that type of feeling and those kind of thoughts?
Well, again, my formation, and also all it takes, Mike, is, again, go on social media. We can start listening to what the younger generations are craving. And let me tell you, the generational gaps that are now coming, you have the baby boomers that are getting ready for retirement, and then you have people that are even younger than myself that eventually will be the corporate leaders, the civic leaders, not in the not too distant future. Those people are craving principled leadership. They want conscious capitalism. They want to make money, but they also want to take care of those who are vulnerable members of our society. They also want to embrace causes that make them feel good about themselves, and that they feel that they're serving a higher purpose other than a 9-to-5, Monday through Friday, retire at a certain age, and that's it.
Certainly in the decades of life as you go along, as you get a little bit older, you start thinking this bigger picture about what can I do to help somebody? And to get this mission that is above self and way up high to where you have this much bigger picture about life and some of its purposes. So what would you like when somebody reads your book to look at that and say, here's what I got out of it? So tell us what you'd like them to see.
I want them to have a sense of vision. I want them to feel that, oh, now I know I have a clear idea of what my vision is as a leader. I want them to embrace the right attitude in life, the right attitude towards money, the right attitude towards work, the right attitude towards business. I want them to become more conscious driven. And I want them to build energy. And by energy means connection. What connection do I build with myself, with you, with my clients, with my neighbors, with my partners, with my coworkers, or with my employees? I want this to be a journey within that clarifies an intention and takes you in your ambitions to the next level as a human being.
So here we are. This is your first book. When did this first get published?
It got published a month ago, November. It just came out. It was launched.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, again, people can go on Amazon. They can get this. But in the deepest sense, if a parent was reading it and they had to, in 4 or 5 minutes, tell their teenage children about the book, what is it you want them to share?
I want them to share with their teenagers the fact is that ambition is not bad. We have to stop thinking in terms of if, either or. So this mutually exclusive way we think of things, black and white, is a very Western mindset, right? So this is more holistic. You can be ambitious. You can make money. But mom, but dad, you still want me to go to school? You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to, great. But you can still make money. You can still succeed. You can still embrace knowledge. You can still be open to learning, right? That's the wisdom component. And yes, you can still be kind. I want to use an example. It made headlines recently. So Taylor Swift, she wrapped up her Eras tour, which was the most successful one in history so far. And what did she do with her staff? She gave them $197 million in bonuses. That is profit sharing at its best. That is an example of conscious capitalism. That is the example of a deed that someone that believes in that type of altruism will find the book meaningful.
So we hear the term, not so much recently, but the term greed. And historically that's been like, no, you can't be greedy. All right. But the reality is, if we could explore that word a little bit, maybe you can help where we can take that and look at it in an additional way.
That is an excellent point, Mike, because people confuse ambition with greed, and they're separate. So in my book of ethics, a greedy person is someone that wants more for the sake of more. An ambitious person wants more for the sake of to do something about it, right? It's using money as a tool to X, Y, and Z. Yes, gift yourself everything you believe you've earned through hard work, but you can also become a donor for a charity that you believe in. You can start a foundation yourself. You can become what is known in American culture as a philanthropist. And I think a lot of people, one of the reasons they also want to succeed is to help sponsor a cause, whether it is animals or children or the environment or hunger or disease. So no, we need to stop confusing greed and ambition. Greed is one thing, ambition is another. The book wants you to be very ambitious, so much so that you want to be a millionaire, a billionaire. Go for it, because it will give you also the tools and the know-how that you need in order to also share back and give back to the community.
Did you have one of those aha moments in your life where you go, oh, like you were like a rapture sort of? Has it happened to you yet?
It has happened. Yeah, it has happened, of course.
Can you share that with us?
Well, I think one of the aha moments that I had was after I finished school. I had an aha moment after I spent years in school, and I said, so it took me all this education to learn this that I just learned in under a year working in the professional world. Again, nothing against education. I'm a huge believer in it. But that was my biggest aha moment. Everything that I learned in school was a theory. in comparison to everything that I learned actually at work in the corporate world, which was my real life education. It's when you take all those theories that you learn, most of which you never get to use or apply, and here at work in the business world, working with difficult people, those are the aha moments that push you forward, and those are the aha moments that make you grow as a person.
We know that money can be a tool, and if we understand it, it's not the money itself that does it, it's what you do with that. If you're on an island and you had $2 million sitting there, and it was just you, the $2 million doesn't mean anything, it means zero. If you're lucky, maybe you would burn it to get some fire. So often people have this love-hate relationship with money. How can people look at it a little bit differently so they're not afraid of it? They don't think that they're greedy, and maybe they think they should have it. They're going to have to leave some of their friends, or maybe they're going to say, if I get enough money, I'm going to have to go get a place I really don't want it, or I'm going to drive a fancy car, and there's friends I'm having, I don't know how they're going to think about it, or if I wear, a $50,000 watch, what does that mean? So tell us about some of your theories about cash.
That's an excellent point. One of the topics in the book is precisely about that. No, money is not the root of all evil. Those are a lot of cultural misconceptions that we have, and there's a lot of subconscious guilt about it. There have even been studies where families live in cycles of poverty because subconsciously they are afraid of breaking the cycle and becoming the black sheep that is successful, that broke away from, project housing, from food stamps. It's interesting, the psychology of money, and people associate self-worth with your net worth. Two separate things. Yes, your net worth can increase your self-worth, but they're separate. That's why how come you have people who lose everything in a country. We got it during the Holocaust, very successful families, Jewish families in Germany, they relocated, and once they resettled, they also became successful because it's a mindset, right? So their net worth was not tied to their self-worth. The whole notion that money is a bad thing needs to go. We need to transform our relationship with money and start seeing it as a tool and also as an instrument of self-gratification in a good way. We can gratify our hard work.
So living in Miami, we have immigrants from all over the world coming here. One of the things we recognize, especially at the beginning of the migration to Miami, is many of those people are coming here for a better life. They're driven to be successful. And we saw that in the 60s and 70s, the Cubans come over, and it looked like 5 years later, they were owning businesses and living in duplexes and driving cars and everything. So there is this drive to be successful for a lot of reasons. So what drives you to be more successful?
I want to have freedom. And I think that's the number one thing that money gives you, or the more successful you become, is you have freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to travel, freedom to own things that you want. I love books, so one of my goals is to build myself a very lavish library, right? So I think money gives you that ability to have that freedom to do things, freedom of mobility, and freedom also to live life at your own, by your own rules.
And so often, many people they don't seek any assistance outside of themselves to become motivated or to learn some things. And so frequently, we'll read something, and then it'll just trigger something in your brain. You go, oh my goodness, and then you're off to the races. And so often in motivational information, they say, you don't have to do the complete plan. Just start it and start working it. So with your book, all people have to do is get the book, read the first paragraph, and move forward. How many pages is it?
192 pages.
That's almost a weekend, right?
You can read it in a few hours in a day. It's meant to be designed for the modern reader. Also, this notion that, oh, nobody has time to read, nobody wants to read, books are a thing of the past. That's not true. What people want is to have a book that, number one, they connect with, a topic that they like, in a format that they like. That's why the book is available hardcover, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. They're different formats. There
was an old saying that in 1972, one of the reporters was doing a story about newspapers, interesting enough. And he was talking about daily newspapers struggling. And he said, the printed word has not disappeared. It's just changed locations, right? And as you say, 3 of those things or 4 of those things, they're just in a different place. So somebody might like it this way, somebody else might want it on their cell phone if they're young enough they can see it, or maybe it's on an iPad where people can grasp on it. And everybody is a little bit different on how they absorb information. So in your book, you thank some people. Who are some of those people that you either thanked or that helped you along this journey?
Well, definitely, I start with my parents. Obviously, they're the foundation. I also have people in the community, the local business community, that I have learned tremendously from. People that are examples of someone that is successful. They still want to keep learning the wisdom, the wise component, and that they always give back. And by giving back, you're not giving up a kidney, for God's sake. You're giving back, you're saying, well, I have this surplus. I believe in this cause. I want to invest in this social enterprise, right? That's a way to give back to the community. And those are the people that I feel that I've learned the most from, and that they have actually inspired me. And they don't know this, actually. These are people that exist in my mind that I have met, and they don't know the impact they've had in my formation as a leader, and that led to me writing this book.
So I was friends with my college professor for 40 years.
Wow.
And then when his wife was having some problem, the widow at that point, she didn't call her adult children. She called me. And I said, Mary, how are you? She said, can you come over? I went, I was in that class 40 years before. So sometimes people have such an impact on each other, and they were very dear to me. And I didn't realize what I meant to them when she calls me. I picked up the phone and called her 50-year-old son. I go, well, you need to get over here and take care of your mother. Oh, she doesn't mean, yes, she does. And that relationship was formed in college. And one of the things that occurred is that we really never expressed that affection and that connection that we had. So here it is years later that I didn't, and then that's when I realized the connection, not just me to them, but them to us. So who are some people that you have that you really feel really connected to?
Well, I feel connected to Maggie De La Vega. She's the founder of and CEO of One Sotheby's International Realty. She's a force of nature. She's someone that I've had the tremendous opportunity of getting to know on a business level and serve as a sort of like mentor for many years, and gave me a lot of the hands-on knowledge that I now possess. So in other words, university gave me the theory. Working with her, getting to know her, I got the practice.
And every once in a while you hear her talking to you right back here.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So we're about finished with the interview here, but I did want to touch on a couple things. What's your next book going to be about?
It's actually finished. It's in manuscript stage, and it's going to be based on what I call the inner roommates, which are thoughts and feelings that we live with daily that either help us or bring us down. So that's it. What I'm going to say about my next project. It's going to be on that sort of line. Rich, Wise, and Kind will keep me busy for the next couple of months, as I'm going to have a book tour at Books and Books. And
when's that going to be?
January. I don't have the date yet, but it will be around January. So to kickstart the year. And I'm going to be talking to I'm going to go to FIU, Nova, Miami-Dade College, their business classes, to also talk to their students or business students about
the book. Very nice.
Yep.
And what a great thing to do, be able to share your passion for that. We know that one is by accident, two is on purpose. So, and I know that's a motivation because you know what's involved in that. When you get ready to do the show, the Books and Books, let us know. We'll come down and we'll video some of that.
Happy to let you guys know.
And I hope you join the local Chamber of Commerce when you get a chance, because we look forward to seeing you there.
Of course,
Great.
I will be there.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mike.
And congratulations and continued success to you. We're going to look right over this red camera. And folks, again, thank you for joining us. Remember, take care of yourselves and your family and read a book.